Hi friends, today's tutorial is on Git. Before going into details on Git, I would like to give an example to understand it properly. First, say you start a project today with 5 team members. You would keep normally a document process to keep track of team members' work and the related files where they are assigned some work. The documents may be in Excel, Word doc, or any other convenient format. But by the time project work increases, there may need to increase the team members requirement of work. This way, it would be very difficult for you to keep track of each individual team member's work on runtime. To get a perfect solution for this kind of situation is actually Git. From the nomenclature, you can sense it refers to versioning of your file system. Each team members will work on their own versioning index. Everyone's work is tracked in real time. All work history can be tracked, analyzed, and for any error recovery, it can be restored to a stable version on certain sections, which is being done by any team members. Any new team members can start the project anytime on any existing project as well. And it would not definitely have any impact on anyone else's work. This is the beauty of using the Git. It's like a complete freedom against complex integration process and collaboration within the project. It is not only the programmers who can use the Git, but anyone who is working on file system on a central repository which requires continuous integration can use the Git. So friends, today I am going to cover two things in this tutorial. One is advantage of using Git and the second is how to use this in real life. Advantage of using Git already discussed while showing an example, and the second is I'll be showing how to connect to GitHub repository and execute couple of commands so that you can use in your real life projects as well. From the previous definitions and examples where I have already replied that it is used in a multi-team environment where many people are working in a single project or multiple projects, and their work and file system can be integrated and collaborated properly using this Git version system. This is widely used and easy modern version control system nowadays. It's mature, actively maintained open source project originally developed in 2005 by Linus Torvalds, the famous creator of Linux operating system kernel. Right now, a lot of software projects rely on Git for version control, including commercial projects as well as open source. And as I said, it is very essential in software development projects for managing, tracking, revisioning, and maintaining their work so accurately. And the good news is it is almost supported across all the operating system. I will come to this diagram later on. And now I'll show you how to connect the GitHub repository using some commands. First of all, you need to have a setup of Git. In Mac, it comes by default. For Windows system, you need to install the Git software. It is pretty much straightforward. Just you need to download it and install the exe file, and it will be installed into your system. So today in this tutorial, I'll be showing all those commands using my Mac terminals. Okay. So before integrating with the GitHub, just to give you an overview, what is GitHub? GitHub is basically an online central repository. So in your projects, it may be a different repository, online repository where many people are working and maintaining their task, collaborating their task into that central repository. Here in GitHub, I will show you how to connect between your local system and the GitHub repository. In today's world, anything you want to connect, it needs an authentication. So similarly, in order to connect to GitHub, there should be an authentication mechanism, and it should be done through an encrypted network in order to save or secure your file transfer and the connections between this your local system and the remote repository. Here we'll be showing using the SSH and how the communication will happen between the Git repository. We'll be showing you using the public private key pairs. Okay, so just give you just to give an overview what is a public and private key. This is actually used in order to encrypt your network connections. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, in today's world you need to ensure that your file transfer or any connections happens today in between your local system or when you are going to connect to any repository. It needs an authentication, right? Here private key public key is that your private key your public key is basically is used to save in GitHub repository. Okay, and the similar pair in is being generated, which is your private key, is being saved into your local system. Whenever any message or file transfer happens between the remote repository to your local computer, then that message is being used to encrypt using the public key, and when it receives into your local end, then the same pair for private key used to decrypt that message, and the matched happens. Eventually the connection happens in between the local computer and the remote repository. So this way the connection happens and all kind of file transfer happens in an encrypted way. Okay, so in order to have a GitHub, you need to open an account in GitHub site, and it is pretty much straightforward, where you need to register using any valid email address. Here in this example I'll be showing you creating one account here. So I have created account from before, and if you can see in the GitHub in the left hand side this number of test repository which you have created from before, and I'm showing you to create one repository here. Let's give it a test name. I'm not initializing here. I'll be showing you how to initiate this Git repository from my local system. For now I'm just creating a simple repository without initiating it. Okay, so this is my Git URL, remote URL, by which you can connect from your local system to this particular repository. So repository is nothing, just your virtual storage of your project. So for example, if many team members or you are working on a particular project in this repository, here you can save your files, you can create your branches. So those things I'll be showing you in this tutorial. And as I was saying, how to set up a connection between the GitHub, and prior to that you need to ensure that your encryption is being done through setup of public and private key. So in order to see that, you need to go to the settings. Then in the left hand side you can see SSH. You need to click there. I have set up a lot of other public key here, so I'll be showing you creating one more here. This is for test 12. Here I need to paste the public key. So this public key needs to be generated from my system. So let me show you how to do that. Let me go to terminal. Let me create one directory first. So using the Linux command or in a Unix command, I can create one directory using mkdir. Let's give a name. Now I'm accessing that directory. I'm listing now So if you put the command ls, then it will show you how many files are there. Right now this directory is blank, therefore it is showing blank. Now I will create one key pairs here using the keygen commands. So this is the command which I need to execute. So here this is a couple of commands which I'll execute in order to set up a connection between your local system and the Git repository. So this is the command used to generate the keys. This is the email address which I have used while creating the GitHub account. So if you want to see that, so I have used a password for this in order to ensure the authenticity. Now I can see the key is being generated here. Okay, so the name has been given, any name you can give here, ls. Okay, so let me copy this. Okay, so in order to copy this, you need to execute this command. Let me give the same name for which the name is created while creating the key. So if you execute this command, this means it is copied your key. Now the public key is copied, which I will paste here. So you can see it is. I need to give a username password in order to confirm. Now the key is being saved here after giving the last one. You can see just I have created. So as I was discussing, I need to generate the key first using the keygen command, and then the same public key which I need to copy in the GitHub. So in order to connect to another repository, for example, it is not necessary that it should be always GitHub. You may work in any other environment where the Git setup is installed and you need to connect that Git repository. Then the same things you need to follow there. So you need to generate the key pair. You need to copy the public key into the remote repository, and the private key will be saved into your system. Now as a next step, I just need to start my process at the backend for this public private key, and I need to add that into my agent. So these are the few couple of commands which may seem a little bit complex, but it's actually very easy. If you follow my video, you can see the list of few commands you need to just execute once, and so that your local computer will be connected to the GitHub, and eventually you can connect to your GitHub repository to execute the git commands to transfer your files. Okay, so I'll be executing this command. Evolve. So the process associated with this will start. Now I will add this private key into the process so that it will get activated. So I need to change the name and my path is also different. Actually, you need to save under .ssh folder, but I'm showing you, for example, now in the same directory where I'm working. And if you have already an SSH key presence, you need to back up that, and you need to create a new one. But since I'm not going to overwrite into the existing path, so therefore I'm showing into the current folder. Here the name is actually different. It's not getting the path. Let me check whether it is existing or not. It's basically existing. Yes, now your identity is added. Now let us check whether I can connect to the central repository. So for that, let me execute few commands. I will first create one readme file. Okay, so let me give a name. It's the same name which I have given while creating the repository test12. Now I will initiate the git repository. So once you initialized the git repository, it will create a one subdirectory with the .git inside your current folder. So let me see that. So you can see readme and one git file. It's not showing here right now. So it's actually created, it's not showing here. So let me now add this readme file. Okay, so for that you need to execute the simple command git add. Okay, now let me execute git status. I can see this readme.md has been added. Okay, so let me just clarify how you can, what is the use of this git add. So whenever you are working in any branch, your current working directory, by using this command, this particular file will be added. Okay, and if you execute the git add dash dash all, then all your files in the current working directory will be added to the index. Okay, now I need to save this. So in order to do that, I need to execute this command git commit dash m. Now I need to give a valid message. So this is very important while working in a project. Whenever you are working in any projects, you should give a valid description for any file changes which you are doing. And if you're working in a ticketing system, just please give the ticket number. And if you're working on any development projects, you just give the story id associated with that. Okay, so as you know, in a agile based projects, there are stories, and under that there are a lot of subtasks. So you need to tag the a specific tag or story name associated with that particular change. Okay, so that later on this change can be tracked by seeing the particular proper message written in the commit message. So I'm giving anything right now. Now I will execute git remote. Here this git remote, what will happen, your git repository url will point back to the origin into your local system. So this essentially means that your central repository will get connected to your local system. Okay, and I'm giving the name origin as alias. So next time onwards, I will not use the full git path once it is connected using this command. So I need to give that path only which repository I have created. So If you see the git repository test 12 which I have created, here you can see the git URL. So let me copy that, since I'm connecting to that only. So I will write that name which I have created. Okay, let me check. Okay, I haven't pushed it yet, so let me push this change. I'll give you more details what is push and all. So for now, you just understand that by using the git push, I am pushing this particular change into the remote. So from the message you can see it is done. So this suggests that your master branch is connected from your local system. So if you want to check that, you should come here and refresh this page. You can see this file has been pushed into your GitHub repository. So this way you can easily execute a couple of commands in order to first install. First you need to do as a first step, install the git, and then you need to authenticate your central repository by public private key method, or there are other methods available also in order to connect between your local system and the remote repository. So I have just shown using the private public key pair mechanisms. I created one key, then I save the private public key into the repository, and the same pair which is used to decrypt the message being sent from the central repository, that is private key, which I added into my agent. Okay, now this way, yeah, the connection between your local system and the central repository is successful. After that, I have shown you created one readme file and I add it, then commit that. Commit is basically the snapshots of your local system. It is saved into your local branch, and then I push that particular file into the central repository. So from here, you can understand it is pretty much clear, and how easily you can connect here. Now I will show you the list of git commands which are very useful in your day-to-day life project. Now if you click here, you can see there is only single branch, master branch is showing here. Okay, now as I was saying in the beginning, the main benefit of using the git is that this multiple people can work on the same projects, same repository, and they can create their own branch and work there independently. Okay, and after a certain time, as per the project requirement schedule, that changes can be merged, or there can be continuous deployment, and in either cases it can be done very smoothly. So for example, there are 5 team members. They can create the branch from the master branch. Okay, they can do it either forking that master branch, or if this branch is already created, they can clone this repository into their local system. Okay, and then they must create a new branch that I'm going to show you. The command for this is to create a new branch out of master branch. I'm giving it a name developer1. Now if I want to switch to that branch, I need to execute this command git checkout developer1. Now you can see the message it's showing switched to branch develop1. Now let me create any file here. Okay, so as I said that this particular repository is blank, but for an ongoing projects, there may be an existing instance, and you can start on the top of existing projects. Okay, and any new developers, if they start to work on the existing project, there would be no problem. They just need to start on the current branch. So from the current branch, in a similar way, they will create a new branch and they will start to add their work and changes onto it, then they will add that, commit that, and push that branch into the central repository. Okay, and the project manager on the reviewer will actually merge that particular branch into the master branch, and from the master branch it will go into the production as per the schedule and plan. So this is the normal flow. So even if there are 100 developers or as many as number of developers, they can work into their individual branch, they can test their work, and finally they will merge their work into a single branch, which is a master branch, and this master branch should go to into the production. Okay, so this is the normal flow. So right now I'm just showing creating one single branch for a developer. So that is the developer one. Now here let me create one file as per my requirement. For example, I'm working on a login functionality, so I have created one file called login HTML. So using the VI editor you can create any file. Now if you insert I, and you can write anything. So I am writing code for login. I'm just writing some sample sentences here, so you will write whatever is appropriate as per your requirement. So let me save this. So I have saved this file. If I want to see this file, I'll write cat command, so I can see what is the content written inside this particular file. Now let me add this file. Okay, and now I'll save this file executing a commit. So if it is story 1, I'll write a specific message associated with this change. Now I'll push this change into central repository. So I'll push not into the master branch, I'll push into the my own branch which has just created. So it should be from origin. Okay, so let me check this if it is really pushed or not. Let me refresh the repository, and if I see, I can see new branch develop one has been created. So let me switch from here, and I can see the login.html is written here. Okay, so this way you can create as many as branches required for the project, and as per the number of developers. Now so this is the beauty of using this one. There is no pull request right now. So if you want to raise a pull request, from developer to master one, I can create a pull request like this. I can put a appropriate comment. Okay, so other person should actually, they'll review the change and they will eventually merge the change and write appropriate comment for this. Now this is merged successfully. So for master branch also, you can see this file has been added. Previously the master branch doesn't have this file. This file work has been done by the developer one, and after the merging this change can be shown here. So ideally when your project is distributed and planned, different sections are assigned to different developers and they will work in a separate file. Okay, but in many cases it is also required to work in a common file. In that cases some contradicts may happen and merge conflict can happen. So the solution in that case is it needs to merge manually, okay, into the particular branch, where the developer is working, and then finally he can push the change. Okay, but for these cases the reviewer should review those changes very well. And also this kind of situation may arise for a support project. For a support project, it may happen that the development team is working on some certain files, and it may happen that the same file needs to make some changes, and in that cases it also needed some manual interventions. It needs to analyze the change and merge their change within the same file, to remove the conflict of changes and merge the changes, and then finally they need to push the changes. Okay, and just to let you know, for existing project, when new team member joins, he needs to take the latest branch, fork it and set up his local system. From there he needs to create a separate branch, okay, and start working on that. So let me show you a few more commands. So git stash is also an important command. This save changes then that you don't want to commit immediately. Git reset is also important. Sometimes you want to revert back your commits, so in that case you need to reset your commits. Okay, the file change will be still there, it not be it will not be removed. Okay, using the git reset. Git remotes, I have described this before. Git merge is used for merging your changes between two branches. Git pull is to taking the latest files from the repository into your local system. But in pull, git pull, the better is using git fetch. Here it happens like it's more safe. It does not immediately do the merge commit. That means your local system file will not get immediately overwritten, but in git pull it will happen. So this is the difference between that git pull and git merge. And git log, which is a very important command. So if you want to see the history of commits, you can see using the git log. So you can see the git log. It is actually identified a long unique digits, a combination of digits and alphabets. And if you want to see the change for that log, it will also appear by git show, and you need to enter that name. So you can see what is the changes for that commit, and also you can see the line number which is been changed inside there. And also there are some more beneficial comments like git difference. It is many times is required when you want to compare between the two files, so you need to execute git difference command. So using this command you can basically find out any differences. So it is required in some cases when in production, if you see if you want to identify that there are some more changes, or some changes ahead of your changes are already existing, and in order to see that, you need to write that git difference. There is another essential command called git tag. Git tagging and is essential when you are moving some changes from master branch to production. So for master branch, it is always a good practice if you create a tag out of your master branch while pointing to production URL. So the difference between the branch and git is that you cannot push the changes from the same git, same tag. So every time you are pushing the change into production, a new tag name with a version is being created, and this way you can track the better if which particular version is pointing to the production. And in some cases, if you see the production is not working properly, you can still revert back to the previous tag version very easily to stabilize your system. So this is the advantage of using the tagging over the branch. In the branch, many people's work can be merged together and can be pushed to production, but tagging is always safe in this case. And these are the pretty much git commands, but you can also find out many more commands for git. Before closing, yes, I want to show one more command, and that is a git cherrypick. This is very essential when you especially working on any support projects. There are a long queue of tickets, but it is not necessary that every tickets will go into production at the same time. So some developers may work on different tickets, and that is still pending to get the approval from the client to go into the production. But the developers can save their own individual ticket using a particular git commit. Okay, and later on, when you will get the approval, you will execute this git cherry pick commands to pick a particular commit, and you can push that change into the production by picking that uh, commit. Okay, so these are the some beneficial git commits and few git commands which I have shown today in my tutorial. Hope this helps you to start the git into your project. Thank you. Thanks for watching.